Hello everybody and welcome back to the Sammy Snake Racing YouTube channel. Now what I've got for you today is a guide on the hardest challenge on Gran Turismo 7. Now this was a challenge when I first started playing the game that I really struggled with, and I know a lot of other players have struggled with it also. And if you do manage to do it, it's the biggest payout in terms of credits in the game. Now, the challenge that I'm talking about, you may have already guessed if you've seen the thumbnail and the title. It is Circuit Experience at Nürburgring, the bigger circuit, not Nürburgring GP. And I'll show you where you can find it. You go to World Circuits, you go to Europe, over here to Germany, Nürburgring, go down to the bottom and Circuit Experience. And there's two options there. The one on the left hand side is the big payout, and this is the most difficult one to do. And if you manage to get gold in every single one of these sectors and the full lap, you earn over 5 million credits. So I'm going to do a lap guide for you in depth. I've not seen a lot online. I'm going to show you braking markers, give you some talk throughs, and hopefully help you to unlock the hardest challenge in the game and to get those credits if you haven't already. Okay, what I want to do even before we start the lap is give you some information. This is a very powerful rear wheel drive car with racing hard tyres. It's going to be very important to control your throttle inputs. If you're not very confident of your throttle inputs, feel free to put a bit of traction control on. But really, even with traction control, you want to be feeding the throttle in. We'll not go to 100% throttle in a lot of the sections and a lot of the exits of these corners. There will also be some technical sections where we're not going 100% braking. For where it's more complex, what I'll do, I will slow the video down so you can see how I'm controlling the car with the inputs. It goes quite fast through these corners, so after the braking marker, the complex sections, I will slow it down so you can see the kind of inputs that you need to match to control the vehicle. Okay, here we go. Right, as soon as we're coming up to turn one, we're looking for this red mark on the barrier. We want to brake right on that point, bring it down to just under 55 mile an hour in first gear, up into second, and then feed the throttle in for a good exit. For the next corner, get as far over to the left hand side as you can, early into fifth gear, ease off the throttle a little bit, and then power through. Your next braking marker are these trees. You want to be braking 10 to 20 meters before that. Now, you want to be careful with the brakes here. 100% braking input, then lift off as you turn in, and then as it straightens up, brake again down to 80 mile an hour, and then into third gear as you ease the throttle in. And then you're straight into another complex section. So as you come around the first left-hander, lift off the gas slightly, get it over to the left-hand side, dab on the brakes, cut across this right-hand curb, throttle input again to stabilize it, dab on the brakes again to about 85 mile an hour, and then ease the throttle in third gear. And then you're straight over to the left-hand side. You're looking for that beginning of that shadow. That's your braking marker. Down into second gear, just under 75 mile an hour, in third gear for the exit, easing the throttle in again to make sure the back tyres don't spin up. Now this is a fast sweeping corner. We want to get over to the left-hand side and just dab on the brakes as you come over the brow of the hill, change into sixth gear, and feed that throttle in to get a nice fast exit all the way down this straight. It's all about carrying momentum down this section and preparing yourself for this next left-hander. Get all the way over to the right-hand side, turning nice and early, lift off the throttle slightly and then back on the gas. As soon as you straighten up, brake down to just under 70 mile an hour and then into third gear for the exit down this straight again. As we're coming down this hill, this is another technical section. What we want to do is we want to make sure we set up to the right-hand side as we enter this first left-hander. Our next braking marker is this white sign here. As soon as we hit that, we want to get on the brakes, 50%, get it turned in over that curb, brake again, down into second gear to help for a bit of rotation, just under 100 mile an hour. Let it coast a little bit, back on the gas. As soon as you straighten it up, back on the brakes again, not 100%, just balancing the brake to just under 55 mile an hour. Again, look at the throttle inputs, never 100%. keeping the momentum going, cut over that right hand side of the curb, in third gear, feed the throttle in and focus on a good exit speed. As we're coming down this straight, we want to get over to the right hand side as much as we possibly can, and we're looking for the last white marker on the tarmac for our braking point. As soon as you see that, dab on the brakes 5%, let it coast round in fifth gear and then back on the gas. As soon as you go past the opening in the shadow just there, that is our braking mark. As soon as we go past that, I want you to brake down, go down to second gear, just under 70 mile an hour, up into third and exit out of that corner, but be careful of power oversteer on that right-hander. As soon as we see that sign, we want to get hard on the brakes and turn it in nice and tight to the curb to use the camber. Bring it down to just under 70 mile an hour and then exit in third gear, feeding the throttle in. Back over to the right hand side to widen the line through here. This is flat out, and then your next braking marker is the gap in the shadow just there. We want to ease the brakes in, bring it down to just under 113 mile an hour and then exit in fourth gear. Your next braking marker are these tree shadows here. As soon as you get to the end of these first two shadows, hard on the brakes, and then this is a complex braking section. So again, 100% brakes, then as you turn in, ease off so it doesn't oversteer, straighten the car up, hard on the brakes again, down into first gear. Then as you try and rotate it, lift off and coast, then change into second gear, initially feeding the gas in, and then early change into third so you can keep the throttle inputs quite high around that right hander as the car does try and power oversteer out of here if you do it in second. As soon as you exit that corner, we're back over to the right hand side and we're looking at this curb here. We want to brake about 10 meters before the end of it. Change down into second gear, bring it down to 80 mile an hour and then up into third as we exit. Applying about 80% throttle input to make sure the back tyres don't spin up but keep momentum going, and then get it tight over to the left hand side to widen the entry into this uphill right hander. Dab on the brakes just before the end of the curb, bring it down to between 80 to 85 mile an hour and then get on the gas early but apply it slowly so the back end doesn't spin up again. I'm slowing a lot of these sections down so you can see exactly what needs to be done to control the vehicle. Around this left-hander, it's just flat out, but as soon as we straighten the vehicle up, look for this black sign here. We want to be braking about 10 meters before that. Bring it down to second gear and 70 mile an hour to get it rotated in, and then early into third for a good exit all the way up this hill. Now as we come up this long straight section where there's not much to tell you what to do, this would be the perfect time for me to ask if you aren't subscribed, please do. I've only started this YouTube channel 3 months ago. The more subscribers I get, the better content I can provide. So if you find this helpful, please hit the subscribe button and the like. It really helps a lot. Our next braking marker is this curb on the right hand side. We want to brake halfway down that, just under 150 mile an hour and then back on the gas in fifth gear as we exit. Now this is flat out, but early change into sixth gear to keep the car under control. Our next braking marker is this curb just here. Brake just before that in a straight line, change down into first gear and 60 mile an hour apex speed to get it rotated, then up into third so we can be nice and aggressive with the throttle inputs for a good exit speed. Our next braking marker is this big tree. As soon as you go past that tree and it leaves your screen, hard on the brakes and then get it down to just around 60 mile an hour in first gear, get the nose pointed in, and you want to aim for that grey tarmac. You want to stay on that grey tarmac as much as you can and hold 60 mile an hour. Change into third gear for exit. As soon as you've got the car rotated in the right direction, aggressive on the gas in third gear to make sure you get a good exit. Now we're coming up to a bit of a technical section here, so you need to pay attention. Flat out around that left-hander and then brake just before the curbs here. Bring it down to 150 mile an hour. Let it coast a little bit. We want to keep the car nice and settled, and we want to keep it between 105 and 110 mile an hour. Close to those curbs. As soon as you get it straight, back on the accelerator, then halfway down this curb, get on the brakes again. Down into second gear to help the car turn in as close to that curb as you can. Up into third and then start feeding the throttle in. It's all about carrying momentum whilst keeping the car stable through that section. Another technical section coming up here. So as we come up to this first right-hander, ease off the throttle slightly to make sure we stay nice and tight to the right-hand side. Dab on the brakes and get it down to 110 mile an hour, and then try and cut across the left hand curb and then the right hand curb, balancing the throttle to make sure it doesn't understeer wide. Now the next braking marker is the end of the curb. As soon as you see the end of the curb, hard on the brakes, down to 100 mile an hour, tight to the curb, ease the throttle in third gear, and then use this as your next braking marker. As soon as you see that writing, hard on the brakes, down to second gear, just under 90 mile an hour, and then careful with the throttle inputs in third gear. Keep it tight to the left hand side. You see we're not going 100% throttle input. And then as soon as you straighten it up, get on the brakes. Ease off both the brake and the throttle for this right-hander as it's a downhill section. Then as soon as you get around the apex, feed the throttle in third gear. Now we're going to use the end of the curb as your braking marker here. 50% braking input, bring it down to just under 80 mile an hour, then exit in third gear. Very careful with the throttle inputs here as the car wants to oversteer on this section. Your next braking marker is this last tree just here. As soon as you get level with that, full braking input at first, then down to 50% to make sure it doesn't understeer out. Get it down to between 75 and 80 mile an hour, and then ease the throttle in third gear. Now this next corner is very easy to get wrong. Over to the left hand side, brake just before the brow of the hill. Get it turned in and then let off both the brake and the accelerator. Let it coast, rotate, and then on the gas to make sure you get it pointed in the right direction. Could be aggressive with the throttle to carry all the speed down this flat hill section. Okay, another little technical section to finish this lap. As we're coming down here, we want to look for these two people here. That's our next braking marker. As soon as we see them, hit the brakes, get it down to just under 130 mile an hour, then let it coast, accelerate a little bit, then hard on the brakes, get it underneath at just 85 mile an hour, change to third, and then ease the throttle in. The only reference point I could use here is the opening in the shadow on the left hand side there. As soon as you get level with that, hard on the brakes, down to just under 75 mile an hour, hit that inner apex and exit in third gear. For the next braking marker, use the end of the curb, brake 20 metres before that, bring it just under 110 mile an hour, and careful balancing the throttle. Early change into fifth gear, wait until you can see the curb, and then hard on the accelerator and let the car drift out to the left hand side for a nice fast exit all the way down this straight. As we're coming down the straight, I'll just fast forward it slightly so it's not too boring as we wait for the final tips of this lap guide. As we're coming through these S's, lift off ever so slightly for this right hand to make sure you can line it up to the left hand side, then hard on the brakes, bring it down to just 70 mile an hour, then into second over that curb, accelerate a little bit but not too much, keep it tight to the left hand side, hard on the brakes again to just under 60 mile an hour, then up into third to exit and cross the line for a 6:21.4. And there you go. That's the lap guide. That was good enough for a 6 minutes 21 seconds 0.4. To achieve gold, you just need to get under 6 minutes 37. So that was quite a bit faster than the gold time. Hopefully, you don't have to go that fast, but hopefully that will be a good enough guide to help you to get those 5 million plus credits and say that you've achieved the hardest challenge on GT7. You can also go to my own gallery and watch the replay if you want to study it in more detail. I'll show you where you can find that. Okay, so if you want to watch the replay in more depth, on the home screen, just go up to the top left hand side here. You see that Gran Turismo menu there, we click on that. You go on my page, you go on friends, and if you've added this account, which you can see in the top left hand corner, Sammy Snake Racing, all one word, you'll be able to, if you see my name, just use Joban as example, go to user page, down to gallery and replays, you can see his replays, and you do exactly the same for me. So you add me, go to my page, go to my gallery, my replays are in there, and what you'll find some other guides in there. I've done some top 10 all-star times in some of the license tests, So feel free to add this account and have a look. This is often where I save my lap guides. So there's all sorts on there that you'll be able to find. I don't often share them, I just save them and then upload them to YouTube. But that is there, that is available if you want to add this account. In fact, it's Sammy Snake 69 is my PSN on this account. 69 the number. So yeah, that is this guide over and done with. Make sure that you are subscribed to get more content like this, where I'll be sharing more tips, tricks and guides to help you do similar things like this. But from the Racing Snake, it's over and out, and I'll catch you in the next one.